Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So today we are on the 20th day of the Purushotam Maas challenge, and in Bhagavad Gita we are on verse number 19. So there's just one more verse to go, that's tomorrow. And we've been seeing that in these last two verses, it's like regarded as one section on its own. Krishna is irrevocably establishing himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and devotional service and the devotee. That one who knows me as Purushotam, he is the most glorious and he knows, he's the knower of everything. So this is a very wonderful way in which we can see that he's not only glorifying himself in this chapter, but he kept the best for last. Because he's saying the one who knows me, he's the one who actually knows everything. Because remember, in this chapter, the Jnani is searching for knowledge of how to get out of this banyan tree, this entanglement of this material world. So Krishna has kept the best for last. That yes, now that I've established myself as Purushotam, first he established the illusionary nature of this material world. Then he described how the subtle body transmigrates. Then he established the Vedas, and then he established that Vedascha sarve raham eva vedyo. The goal of the Vedas is to know me. And then he established Purushottama, the Supreme Person. And then he established himself as that Supreme Person, that I am Purushottama. And now today, he's glorifying those who worship him, that they are actually the ones who are knowers of everything. They are the most glorious. So just see, although yesterday we were hearing he's the greatest. Although he's the greatest, but he's glorifying his devotees as the greatest. This is love. This is devotion. So let's read today's verse. Bhagavad Gita Chapter 15, text number 19. Yomam evam asammudho jnanati purushottam sa sarvam vid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharataha. Translation: whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. So let's read over the translation again carefully. Translation: whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. So we see Krishna has established himself in the Chatur Shloki Gita 10.8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So he's saying, Arjuna, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, everything animate and inanimate, spiritual and material comes from me. And that's the summary of this whole chapter, that all of this whole material creation, this Jnani is trying to search out where's the source of creation. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, Krishna is saying, it's me. I'm the source of creation. I'm the creator. And Matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam. Those who know this, iti matva bhajante mam. Those who know this, what do? Bhajante, they worship me. Iti matva bhajante mam. Buddha bhava. How do they worship me? With bhava. With the mood of love, devotion. Buddha bhava samanvitaha. So he's saying here, they worship me with love. So when you finally found out, when you finally realize who is this Supreme Creator, what is the source of creation, then what do? Buddha bhava samanvitaha. You worship him with love. This is what the Jnani has finally come to. That he started off on the Gyan path of knowledge, of searching, looking this way. But remember, to even assimilate knowledge, you need the mind and intelligence. Those are the faculties of where knowledge is used. But now, Buddha Bhava, Bhav, mood, emotions, Bhav is not a faculty of the mind. It's not a faculty of the intelligence. So he's telling the Jnani, now that you've come to know it's me, what should you do now? Buddha Bhava Samanvita, worship me with love and devotion. And don't think that I want your worship. I'm also serving you, like you've seen. I've given you the light of the sun. I've given you the light of the moon. I've digested your food. I've provided everything for you. So I'm not demanding worship from you, but out of love, you should think about this and realize, wow, if somebody has done all of this for me, then naturally I should worship. But how to worship? Don't worship me as a supreme judiciary, like a big judge, God with a big beard. Michelangelo, right? He was the one who painted that the God with the big beard, and because that's what they thought. God must be the oldest person. He's the first being. So, but Krishna is not that kind of God. Krishna is not. He's Navayovanamscha Advaitam Achutim Anadi Rananta Rupam Adhya Purana Purusha Navayovanamscha. I am the oldest. I am the source of everything, but I am also the youngest. I am Navayovanam, ever fresh. This is Krishna, the transcendental autocrat. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada would call him the transcendental autocrat. Beautiful. So, the translation goes on. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me. So once you've finally found out who Krishna is, there's no more searching. Bahunam janmana ante jnanavam mam prapadyante vasudev sarvamiti sa mahatma sudullabha. So Krishna is saying, out of bahunam janmana ante, many janmas, many births, bahunam janmana ante, unlimited births, jnanavam mam prapadyante, one person, one gets to know about me. Jnani, jnan, knowledge, jnanavam mam prapadyante, he finally comes to realize about me. This is what has happened to this devotee in this chapter, this Jnani. And what he does after that, Vasudev Sarvamiti, he finally realizes it's Vasudev, it's Krishna. This supreme creator, this Purushotam, this is Krishna. Vasudev Sarvamiti. And what does he do? Sa Mahatma Sudullabha. Krishna is saying this person at this stage is now a Mahatma. He's a great devotee. 7.19 Bhagavad Gita is declaring this verse. So Prabhupada goes on to say here, purport, there are many philosophical speculations about the constitutional position of the living entities and the supreme absolute truth. Now, in this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead clearly explains that anyone who knows Lord Krishna to be the Supreme Person is actually the knower of everything. So this Krishna is also declared in the beginning of the Bhakti section, 7th chapter, 7.1, is declared, Maya Shakta Manapata Yogam Yunjan Matashraya Ashamshaya Shamakramam Yata Kyasnasi Takshanu. He says, Arjuna, Takshanu, hear from me, Shunu. Takshanu, hear from me. What? Maya Shakta Manapartha. That if you get attached to me by your mind, use your mind to get attached to me. Yogam Yunjan Matashraya. This is a new type of yoga, I'm telling you. This is Bhakti Yoga now. It's not Karma Yoga, it's not Jnana Yoga, it's not Astanga Yoga, it's not Dhyana Yoga. This is Bhakti. So what is the result of this? Ashamshaya Shamagrama. Shamshaya means doubt. Ashamshaya. Doubtlessly, You can know me in full. Krishna never says this for any other yoga process. In this yoga process, bhakti, ashamshaya, shamagramam, you can know me in full, free from doubt. This is the same thing Prabhupada is saying here. Yata gyasnasi takshunu. Hear this from me. I am declaring it to you. So this is the only process that once the jnani finishes with his mind and the vacillation of his mind up, down, sankalpa, vikalpa, sankalpa, vikalpa, sankalpa, vikalpa, you go mad like that. Once he's become mad like that and finished with all that accepting, rejecting, then what? He takes to my devotional service. He becomes my devotee. So this is now, this is where we're finding the jnani. Prabhupada says here, the imperfect knower goes on simply speculating about the absolute truth, but the perfect knower, without wasting his valuable time, engages directly in Krishna consciousness. So we keep on speculating, like I was just saying. But what is the absolute truth? 1.2.27 Srimad Bhagavatam describes this. Vadanti tat tattvam vidas tat yat jnanam avyayam brahmeti paramat iti bhagavan iti shabdate. They have to say this absolute truth, Vasudev is speaking there, that this absolute truth is known in three features: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. In this chapter, we've seen all three. Therefore, it's called Purushotam Yoga. We've seen the Brahman, you merge into that Brahman light that they're always talking about. That's not the perfection. It's incomplete. And you don't merge into it, you just kind of float and exist there in the Sat feature of Krishna. And Paramatma is Sat and Chit. You know the Super Soul, so you have knowledge of the Super Soul, and you kind of also existing. But Bhagavan iti shabdate, in the Bhagavan feature, there is a person, Purushotam. Purusha Uttama, topmost person, that's there in the Bhagavan feature. And once you know the Bhagavan feature, then Bhajate Priti Purvakam. That's what Krishna is saying. Then he renders service to me. Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Krishna is saying there, Tesham shatata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadadi buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. That I give the knowledge, Tesham shatata yuktanam, that one who does his bhajatam priti purvakam, he does his bhajan, his worship or his sadhana with priti, with love. Bhajate priti purvakam. Then what is the result? Tadadi buddhi yogam tam. I give him buddhi. I give him understanding. In yoga, how to connect to me. Yena mam upayantite. How to come to me. Yena mam. How to come to me. Upayantite. So he's saying he is guiding you all the way. And he's guiding you to that point of doing devotion. So Prabhupada goes on to say in the purport, the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Throughout the whole Bhagavad Gita, the fact is being stressed at every step. And still, there are so many stubborn commentators on Bhagavad Gita who consider the Supreme Absolute Truth and the living entities to be one and the same. So you remember we discussed this extensively yesterday about merging. So Prabhupada goes on to say, Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, learning by oral reception. One should actually receive the Vedic message from authorities like Krishna and his representatives. So if you want this perfect knowledge, it's Shruti, it must come in disciplic succession. No knowledge is perfect otherwise. Every other form of knowledge is imperfect. But disciplic succession, this is as Krishna spoke and as his representatives are passing on that knowledge intact, as it is. That's why Prabhupada calls the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Prabhupada goes on to say, Here Krishna distinguishes everything very nicely. And one should hear from this source. Simply to hear like the hogs is not sufficient. Wow. So when a hog hears, what is the value of what he hears? That if you speak this kind of knowledge to a hog, what is the value to what the hog understands about it? So it's futile. It's futile. So if you want the genuine knowledge, you have to go to the authentic source. Evam parampara praptam imam raja sayo vidu sakalena mahatas yoganasta parantapa. Arjun, this knowledge comes in parampara. Evam parampara praptam. You can only prapti, get this knowledge in parampara system. Otherwise, any other form of knowledge will be imperfect. It will be fallible. Prabhupada goes on to say, one must be able to understand from the authorities. It is not that one should simply speculate academically. Because what is academic knowledge? It's based on empiric study. It's based on pratyaksha. In Sankhya, it's called pratyaksha, direct sense perception. And that kind of knowledge, it has its validity for that time and space and circumstance. Because just after that knowledge comes, then they'll say, oh, you know what, we have more knowledge now, and we misunderstood. It's not like this, it's like this. So when do you actually have knowledge? By nature of knowledge means you understand something. If you use this process, you don't understand anything. Because you carry on changing the information because of your imperfect senses. So come to terms with that and accept what the Supreme Lord is saying. The parampara is not giving you their own knowledge. They're simply giving what Krishna is speaking. It's not that they are intelligent saints and sages and they're giving you their wisdom. Their wisdom is Krishna's wisdom. Tadadi buddhi yogam tam. I'm giving the knowledge to them. Because why? Bhajate priti purvakam. They're doing their bhajan with love. So if Krishna is speaking, how can that knowledge be imperfect? So better just accept Krishna's knowledge. This is the nature of this kind of system. Prabhupada goes on to say, one should submissively hear from Bhagavad Gita that these living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are not that we merge. Remember, we covered this point in 16, 17 and 18. Kshara and Akshara. They never merge. There's the conditioned and then there's the liberated. And then there's the Supreme Being, Purusha. So never is there a time when they merge and become one. Prabhupada goes on to say, anyone who is able to understand this, according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, knows the purpose of the Vedas. If you know this point, then Vedascha sarver aham eva vedyo Vedantikrit vedavateva chaham. You know the Vedas then. Because why? The goal of the Vedas is to know me. Vedascha sarver aham eva vedyo. Now that you know me, you know the Vedas. In principle, it is as simple as that. You may not know one Sanskrit verse, but if you know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you know the Vedas. You are Vedavit. This little child of one disciple of Prabhupada, Saraswati, Malti's daughter, that's all that she knew as a little child. She would go around telling everybody, do you know who's Krishna? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by doing this, that's what she knew, that's what she would preach. She is Vedavit, she knows all the Vedas. This is how powerful this knowledge is. Prabhupada goes on to say, no one else knows the purpose of the Vedas. See, the thing is that everything has a purpose. So if the Vedas are there, what is the purpose of the Vedas? The purpose is to know me. Krishna is saying this, he's declaring it. Nobody else has declared this. Krishna has declared it. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Arjun, move beyond the Vedas. Understand that there is a goal higher than the Vedas. What is that? Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. It's me. It's me. The word bhajati is very significant in many places. The word bhajati is expressed in relation with the service of the Supreme Lord. So we discussed that in 10.10 Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying, bhajatim priti purvakam. If you do your devotional service with love, then tadadi buddhi, I give you the knowledge. So there are many, many places where Krishna uses this word bhajati. Because it shows worship or love or devotional service. Devotional service, loving devotional service to Krishna. Prabhupada goes on to say, if a person is engaged in full Krishna consciousness in the devotional service of the Lord, it is to be understood that he has understood all the Vedic knowledge. You know all the Vedas. The fact that you know Krishna is the Supreme Person, you know all the Vedas. Vasudev Sarvamiti. Sa Mahatma. Krishna is calling you a Mahatma. Vasudev Sarvamiti. You know that Vasudev, Krishna is everything. This is why in that verse, Krishna says his name there. He could have said the Purushotam Sarvamiti. He could have said Brahman Sarvamiti. But what did he say? Vasudev Sarvamiti. Clearly it's a person. Vasudev is a name. That means it belongs to a person. Vasudeva Sarvamiti, sa Mahatma, is calling that person a Mahatma. Krishna is calling. He says clearly, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. That means it's a person. Then who is this person? Purushottama. Purushottama and Krishna, non-different. Prabhupada goes on to say, in the Vaishnav Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the Supreme Absolute Truth. Once you know Krishna and you're doing devotional service, no need to know anything else. There's a scripture saying it here. Nothing else to do. You are already doing the topmost thing. You are already doing the highest thing possible. Krishna is saying this is free from doubt. If you, this 7.1 verse that I quoted, Krishna is saying that, Ashamshaya Shamagramam, free from doubt, no more Shamshaya. You'll know me in full. Yata Gyasnasi Takshanu. Hear from me, Arjun. That if you do this devotional service, you'll know me in full, free from doubt. This is the topmost thing. Krishna himself is saying that here. Prabhupada says in the purport, he has already come to the point because he is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. He has ended all preliminary processes of understanding. This is the highest process. This is the highest level of understanding. There's no higher understanding than this. What is that? Vasudev Sarvamiti. Jnanavam mam prapadyante. After many, many lifetimes of coming, questioning, searching this way, that way, finding out, inquiring, he's finally come to this lifetime. And in this lifetime, Vasudevam Sarvamiti, Sam Mahatma Sudurlabha, this great soul, Mahatma, is finally worshipping Krishna. This is very, 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 very wonderful. Prabhupada goes on to say, but if anyone after speculating for hundreds of thousands of lives doesn't come to the point that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that one has to surrender there, all his speculation for so many years and lives is a useless waste of time. If after speculating this way, that way, that way, this way, you don't come to the understanding that Krishna is supreme, then you wasted time. And wasting time is wasting life. So you wasted your life. So this is it. This is why this 15th chapter is so important. It's explaining who is God, and it's explaining in these two verses, devotional service to Purushotam is the highest thing. So thank you very much. We've completed 19 verses today. Tomorrow is the end of this chapter. And we're going to start with Brahma Stuti, the beautiful prayers of Lord Brahma. So we are discussing Jnana all this time, which is a little dry. You can see this Jnani is all muddled up. He's trying to understand this way, that way, up, down. He can't figure it out. But when we start discussing Krishna and the beauty of Krishna, that's coming in the Brahma Stuti. Because Lord Brahma also had this whole experience of this chapter. And finally, when he sees Krishna with the beautiful peacock feather, with the beautiful bimba red lips, with his lotus eyes, all these beautiful descriptions is coming now in Brahma Stuti, which we're going to start after this chapter. So thank you very much. Please join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.